It's Friday, May 4th, 2012. It's time for the 404 on CNET TV. I am Jeff Bacalar, and this is the show where we're going one-on-one with James Gunn, writer, director, producer extraordinaire. James Gunn in the studio today. Round of applause for James Gunn.
Thank you for the applause. It's very kind of you.
Well, you know, we try and bring it to you. Thank you so much for being here.
What
today,
kind of name
man.
is Bacalar?
What do you? It's an American name. What kind of name is Gunn?
Gunn's
American name.
It's Irish. It is American because it was McGill Gunn.
Oh,
you know,
really?
the strange thing about my name, and this is
What's
absolutely true. You know what my name means? People on Twitter are always writing me saying, my last name is Gunn too. Are you Scottish? I'm not. Almost all Gunns are Scottish. I'm Irish. My family's name was McGill Gunn, and that name means sons to the servant to the God of the dead. That's what my name means. So my name,
You're the
Gunn,
luckiest guy
is
ever.
God of the dead.
That's pretty rad.
Yeah, and so it was sort of, it works for me.
I
All
think
my
so.
brother's last name is Gunn too, and my brother writes Journey to the Center of the Earth too. I don't see where it fits in, but with my career, it's worked pretty well.
I think so. It's a perfect fit. But
Yeah.
I don't know what kind of last name Bacalar is. I mean, I think it's like Turkish.
Oh, I know a girl named Bacalar.
Do
yeah,
you really?
I do. Yeah. How do you spell it?
Bakalar.
Okay, yeah. Okay.
You're all right with that? It's someone told me.
I'm not all right with it, but it's okay.
Someone
it's okay.
told me in
I'll
Czech
live.
it's a beer. In the Czech Republic it's a beer.
Yeah.
Yeah, I have no idea. No relation whatsoever.
Yeah.
I don't know, but I'm psyched we got to talk about our last names. That's amazing. I had no idea. God of the Dead.
God of the Dead.
Could you
Yeah,
ask
that's
for a better.
that's my last name. Yeah, it works.
etymology?
It works out. Yeah, no, we found out when we were in Ireland with my family, and my mother was horrified. She was horrified.
Just
She was
screamed in shock.
And she didn't scream, but she was like, she went into sort of denial. She does this thing that my mother does where she just sort of goes into like this sort of shock. My mom's messed up. She's messed up.
All right. We've learned a lot already.
Yeah. I'll tell you more. I'll tell you everything you want to know.
Do you want to couch to lie down on? We can really get down to
Hey, every time I go on the radio, it ends up being like that in one way or the
It's
other.
a therapy session.
Yeah.
Well, seriously, we really appreciate you coming out here. We have a lot to talk about. We're very excited because your first foray into the world of gaming,
Yes.
professionally at least,
Yes.
is with the new game from Grasshopper manufacturer, Lollipop Chainsaw.
Right.
Which is a very big deal. There's a huge cult following behind these types of games from that developer, from guys like Suda51.
Yep.
And now you are getting the chance to work with these guys. How did this happen? How did you get involved in Lollipop Chainsaw?
2 years ago, Suda51's a great, game developer. He did games like No More Heroes, and he's just a cult game guy. And he came to me along with Warner Brothers, who's putting out this game, and they said, "Hey, we have this idea for a game. We want to see if you're interested." I didn't even know what they meant or what they wanted me to do, so I signed this non-disclosure agreement, all this stuff, and went and saw this little bit of footage of this, sexy high school cheerleader chopping up zombies with a chainsaw and having them explode into these gory, glittery rainbow hearts.
Which was fantastic.
I flipped.
Yeah.
I mean, I truly flipped for the footage, and I thought it was so aesthetically interesting.
Right.
I mean, we get compared to other, stories and games and everything since this game has been announced and since the trailers have coming out. But aesthetically, to me, there's never been anything like it. And I was fascinated by it. I said, "Listen, what do you want me to do? I'll do whatever you want me to do." And they said, "We want you to help us to write the story. We've got part of the idea down, but we need it to, be further crafted. And we want you to, come up with the characters and write the characters." And so I did that, and I just became involved. And like I do with most things I become involved with, I'm crazy. I go all the way. So I was basically hired to write the cut scenes and oversee writers to write the rest of the dialogue and stuff like that. But instead, I just did everything myself because I became attached to the characters. I really loved them. And I just wrote the whole thing. And then I went and I hired all the actors to play the different characters in the game. And I directed them in the voiceover sessions. It was my first experience doing that. And it was great. It was a great experience. So I'm happy.
That sounds amazing. So you're obviously very well versed in the world of film and writing for film and directing for film. How does that translate over? Because I would imagine there's a lot of similarities, but at the same time, it's probably sort of a different experience.
Just technically, it's a very different thing. When you write a screenplay, it's a 90 to 120 page thin little screenplay.
Sure.
You have to keep everything contained. Everything is about making sure every single scene leads to the next scene. It's all very constricted. writing a video game, you write on Excel sheets, or at least we did with this game, and the script is like, this.
Sure.
So it's like this big, huge, just thousands and thousands of lines of dialogue. And, you'll have a scene in which a girl is, the Juliet Starling, our hero, will save a girl from a zombie, or she won't. And so I'll have to write 30 lines of dialogues if she saves the girl, and 30 lines of dialogue if she doesn't save the girl.
Sure.
So the girl's either running away or she's complaining that she's dying.
So it's like nothing gets left on the cutting room
Nothing
floor.
gets left on.
Just...
and I found that to be a remarkably freeing creative experience, because you do, when you're in this industry for a long time, and especially you have the spotlight on you, you get at times sort of wound up, and you maybe overthink things a little. You become perfectionist, and especially with a movie, when you make a movie once every 2 years or every 3 years even, it becomes such a big deal. But with this, it was just like I just had to write and write and write, and I'd sit there and I'd write for 12 hours and just turn it all in, and that's the game.
And
so there was
we'll use everything. We're going to use everything you've done.
You do. Because you have to write so much.
Yeah.
And a lot of it is it's such throwaway stuff. A guy will play the game 10 times and maybe not get some of the funniest jokes. So I think that's one of the cool things about it.
Yeah. What do you think about that? I've always sort of thought about, oh man, I've sort of followed this certain flow chart in the game, and I've seen pretty much everything there's to see, but I'm not going to see maybe, if I got killed here or something like that.
Yeah.
Do you sort of favor one way or another?
Well, with Lollipop Chainsaw, it's not like Mass Effect.
Right,
it's
where
not, it's not a RPG.
Sure.
It's basically a linear fighting game.
Right.
But within that linear fighting game, so like the cutscenes are basically, if you can get to the next level, your experience is going to be the same as everybody else's. And by the cutscenes, I mean, I don't know how to the people who play games,
sure,
I guess,
the
know
part
what they
that
are, right?
connects action together.
Yeah, like the
the
little mini movies that are in between the playing. Give you a break for your thumbs.
Of course, yeah,
and
relax there
and then hopefully you'll be entertained. And so, but within the actual gameplay, there's a lot of different little things you can do, and that does change from experience to experience, from game to game. And I think it's cool that everybody has their own experience, and it also it's cool because if you replay the game a lot, you're going to find new stuff in there that you didn't find the first time.
Sweet. All right, let's take a look at Lollipop Chainsaw. We have a trailer that sort of features all of the bosses in the game.
Right.
And doing the score for the bosses is Jimmy from Mindless Self-Indulgence, right?
Yeah, Jimmy Urine, who's one of my best friends in the world. He's my buddy, and I have a weird story about that. If we can tell in a second.
Yeah, let's do that right after the trailer.
Your ass is mine!
DK, the king of Viking metal. Josie, the master of funk. Time to get the fuck out. Mariska, the queen of psychedelia.
Into the world of everlasting peace.
What the F?
And many more.
Let's cut this bitch into bite-sized chunks!
The bosses of Zombie Rock. They'll make your ears bleed.
Listen, lady, why don't you try using some deodorant? Because honestly, you smell like shit.
All right.
Okay.
That's pretty awesome.
That's the first time I've ever seen that trailer, which I didn't know came out.
The music's great, man.
Yeah, that music's all by Jimmy Urine. Jimmy Urine's the lead singer of MSI. He's one of my best buddies. We hang out all the time. And a weird thing about that is, so we came in and we did the game, and Zed, the punk rock guy at the beginning, he's played by Jimmy. He's like the punk rock zombie.
Sure.
And we had the game was being developed and being designed, and we were designing this punk rock zombie, and I was writing all the dialogue for him. And Scott Warr, the guy who sort of runs things over at Warner Brothers, one of the guys, or he ran this game over at Warner Brothers.
Yeah, I got to meet him at the demo a couple of weeks ago.
Great guy.
Dude, yeah.
Okay. So I'm writing to him, and Peter Weiss, the head of Warner Brothers, and I'm writing all these ideas for different actors that could play the different role.
Sure.
different roles. And for Zed, I said, hey, this is a weird idea. He's not an actor, but he's a really close friend of mine. He's a rock star. And I think he'd be great for the role. His name is Jimmy Urine. He plays an MSI. And Scott sort of freaked out because he's like, oh, my God, I'm a huge MSI fan. But he said even weirder than this, when they were designing the initial design for Zed, Suda came back with this punk rock zombie design, and Scott said to them, it doesn't quite look like an American punk rocker enough.
Okay.
And then he sent a bunch of old photos of Jimmy over to Suda, who then redesigned the character around Jimmy Urine.
That's amazing.
So the character is based on Jimmy in part, and then he ends up playing the role because he's my friend, but no other reason. So it's one of those strange synchronicity situations where we were meant to work together.
The stars lined up. It all worked out. That's so cool. I didn't even I knew the sort of intimate detail that it was all coming together with, but I didn't know it was based off of Jimmy.
Yeah, no, I mean,
so
how
cool.
could you? It's amazing.
Yeah, that's really awesome.
And so it's like the other guys you saw in there. Vicky the Viking is played by my buddy Michael Rooker, known for Henry Portrait of a Serial Killer and Cliffhanger and Days of Thunder and in my movie Slither and Super and the girl, the hippie zombie, is played by Shawnee Smith, who's now on Anger Management with Charlie Sheen and was in all the Saw movies and she did the show Scream Queens with me on VH1 a couple years ago.
Right on.
And then, we got a bunch of people in there. Linda Cardellini from ER and Scooby-Doo. Michael Rosenbaum from Smallville is another one of my best buddies, and he plays the disembodied head.
Right, the voice of the boyfriend.
The boyfriend,
right.
And he's a star. I mean, he and Juliet, they're in the entire game together, and Michael's Tara Strong plays Juliet. The two of them together are amazing. They're like an Abbott and Costello that want to have sex but can't because one of them doesn't have a penis.
Right, he just has a head.
Yeah,
which he sort of wears as a fashion accessory.
Yeah.
And that's what's so cool about they are these games that come out of Grasshopper. They're sort of off the beaten path. I think in our culture maybe they don't get enough sort of attention.
Yeah.
I thought that happened with Shadows of the Damned. In Lollipop Chainsaw, do you sort of see, something here that's maybe more accessible? I know, obviously, the cast and crew. It's a cast and crew that maybe our culture is more familiar with. How does that play into the whole sort of package?
Well, I think that's one of the reasons why I came along was to try to, I don't want to say westernize things, but keep what is essential about the Grasshopper games and what's about Suda's games, while adding another element to that, not subtracting from anything, but adding a more, a Western sense of humor, and also trying to make the story a bit more of a 3-act story because Japanese people tell these stories that are very poetic, and maybe one of the problems is I love Japanese cinema. I love Asian cinema, and it has a very different way of moving from scene to scene. They have a different way of storytelling, especially Japanese people.
Right. Yeah, absolutely.
And so it was trying to take that stuff and maybe make it a little, bring that into our hemisphere a little bit more.
Sure.
And so maybe I helped with that. I think I helped. I do think the game is really funny. I don't think there's any game that's ever been as funny as this game. Because it is funny from start to finish.
And that's a tough thing to do, especially in games.
Yeah.
For whatever reason, I don't know if it's just the aesthetic of the medium, whatever it is. Comedy does just one of those things that's just tough to come across.
Yeah.
And from what I've seen in Lollipop, it works.
Yeah, I think sometimes, people need to learn that it's a game, So if you're trying to be funny by, having a bunch of stuff in there that isn't part of the gameplay, then gamers aren't going to like it too much. Because first and foremost, the game's got to work as a game. And that's Suda's job. I mean, the machinery of the game has to work. That has to be fun. That has to be great. But if while you're doing that, there's just all these little funny and entertaining bits, then that's awesome. But if it's stuff that takes away from the gameplay, which is what in the past a lot of games that have tried to be funny do, then that's a mistake because that makes the game not as good. You might as well write a movie then.
And gamers can see through that. They pick it up right away, and they just, they toss it out. I got a chance to sit down a little with Suda 51, and we talked a little about the divide in culture and what's popular in Japan, what's popular here. For whatever reason, shooters are just not really clicking there. They're not as successful as they are here.
Yeah. Well, we're more of a gun culture anyway. I mean, we
Yeah.
love guns in the United States.
We
I
do.
mean,
We love shooting.
even when we're anti-gun, we still love guns. We
love-
still, you can go, boycott the NRA all day long,
Right.
and then you're going to go home and play Doom or
Yeah.
shoot our Halo and be shooting people all night long. So it's
Exactly.
just we love guns. It's bred into us.
Yeah, it's and I sort of was looking to him for sort of an answer for that. I don't know why I thought he was the go-to guy. Be like, why is this happening? Why are we so effed up? He couldn't really give you a straight answer.
Well, listen, I mean, I love Suda. You know,
Yeah,
he's
for
a
sure.
great guy, but Suda's ethereal, man. That
Yeah.
dude's Andy Warhol.
Yeah.
He's not going to give you a straight answer on that.
I
He's
learned-
not-
'cause that was the
that's
first
not
time-
how his brain works, man.
that was the first
straight
time.
answer alone is not going to be able to give you.
Here I am with my pen. I'm like, oh, and I'm listening to his translator. I'm like, wow, we went off the path real quick with that. But that was cool, though. It was my
Yeah.
first time meeting him.
Yeah.
He's a really interesting dude.
He's a cool guy. He's a very nice person.
Yes.
And he's great. He's he's very zen.
Yeah.
In Grasshopper in Japan, everything, you take off your shoes and everything's really quiet and mellow, which is so funny.
So yeah, what was that experience like? I mean, did you get to work with him a lot? Were you
No,
know-
I didn't. I worked with Suda a fair amount, and then it's like everybody kind of does their own piece.
Sure.
It was a very interesting experience. There was a learning curve. We had a lot of meetings where it was me and the two Warner Brothers guys around a table, and then a bunch of Japanese people, like 12 Japanese people around another table,
Yeah.
and then video conferencing
Okay.
on this large, huge video screen.
Sure.
Both large and huge video
At the
screen.
same time.
At the same time. And we did that all the time.
Yeah.
And it really was a learning curve. Like at the beginning, it's just because not only is the way they tell a story different, but the way they interact in business is very different. So that was difficult,
Yeah.
frankly. But after a while, we got into a groove, and I found also that one of the things was once we started to hang out in person, once they started coming over here and we were hanging out and we were working together on stuff, then it became a lot easier because then we kind of got that. I think that we all want the game to be great.
Of course.
And once you learn that everyone wants the game to be great and that nobody really had an ego stake in anything, all that we care about is that the game works.
Right.
So there's nobody fighting for their own way just because they're fighting for their own way.
Sure.
We're all fighting for what we believe in because we want the game to work.
Right.
And once that sort of clicked, then it was magic.
Right.
Then it was, I have to say, in a lot of ways, it was the best working experience of my adult life because I didn't have, it was not difficult.
Right.
Like sometimes making a movie is.
Sure.
And it wasn't, there weren't, the battles were at the beginning, and once we learned to get through them, they were done. And the people at Warner Brothers are the best people in the world. I mean, just really, they're great. And I've never had a corporate entity like that who would push me so far. They understood from the beginning that we were making a very extreme game. And if you're going to make this game that's extreme, then you have to kind of go with it and let it be that. If we start pulling back on
Right.
things, then it's going to be like a milky version of extreme, and then it's not going to be extreme, and then there's going to be nothing to set it apart. So they sort of understood that. They then sort of understood that. They did understand it from the beginning, and really just I never had to struggle with them at all.
Yeah.
And they worked really well in bringing me and the Japanese guys together and helping us to work. And Scott Warr, who you met, was great at facilitating. And he would travel over to Japan and sit with the sound engineers like throughout the whole cutting process because, again, it's like everything that we recorded is very specifically, it's comedy.
Yeah.
So there's a rhythm to it, and not all, a guy who's a Japanese sound engineer isn't going to necessarily understand
The
how
little
that needs to be
nuances,
cut
sure,
together.
right.
Yeah, and so he would sit there with them throughout every single cut, and everybody really put their hearts and souls into it, and it's a very interesting game because it's nasty, it's dirty, it's sexy, it's raunchy, it's very violent. But there's a real sweetness to it. And I think that is what sort of brought me and Suda together. I think that is, if you look back on everything both of us have ever done, it truly is a combination of something really profane and really sweet at the same time. And both of us are attracted to that. So
And best of all, I mean, like we said, there are too many games in certain genres.
Yeah.
This is definitely a change of pace, a breath of fresh air. And it sounds like you had the working environment that would facilitate exactly what you guys want to do. And, what else but good can come out of that.
and
for
it's
sure.
been going. I mean, I think pre-sales are amazing, and,
Yeah.
and people seem to like it. We've got, You cannot go to any sort of convention without having 12 Juliet Starling cosplayers already out there.
Right
and that's,
on.
the game doesn't come out for 2 months.
Yeah, that's pretty
So-
cool.
Oh, it isn't 2 months anymore, is it?
No,
Wow.
it's like a month, and a
Wow.
week.
Yeah,
It's
yeah.
it's almost
So
0
close.
day here.
Yeah.
So yeah, speaking of your career, I mean, you've been involved in a lot of pretty extreme stuff. We
Yep.
talked about Slither real quick, the cult classic Romeo and Juliet, Super, which was
Yep.
more recent, and
Yep.
then the remake of Dawn of the Dead. So you've
Yeah.
had your zombie sort of credentials.
Yeah,
sort
I've
of
done lots.
legitimized.
I've been around zombies quite a bit.
What do you? I mean, and obviously, Lollipop Chainsaw deals with that genre as well. Why do you think zombies withstand the test of time? Why do you think
Zombies are, I think like the basic apocalyptic zombie narrative
Yeah.
is it works extremely well in human beings because it's a combination of most every fear that a human has.
Sure.
It's the fear. It's evolutionary. It's our fear of disease.
Mm-hmm.
It's our fear of our loved ones becoming something else and turning against us. So it gets into like a paranoid fear.
Right.
It's our fear of losing everything. It's our fear of being eaten by prey.
Yeah.
You don't get more primal than that. And then, in addition to those fears, there's also a wish fantasy fulfillment. There's the ability to kill without moral problems whatsoever.
Sure.
There's a world in which it all belongs to you, and everybody that you hated or the daily mundane things of life are gone.
Right.
And so I think that the basic zombie, like Dawn of the Dead or Walking Dead or these types of narratives, they fulfill all those different wishes and fears simultaneously, so it works extremely well on the human psyche.
For sure, I think, and it's just that it's just like all bets are off.
Yeah.
And it's I can destroy anything.
I can do whatever I want.
Whatever
it's
I
all, It's all for me.
And like some genres come and go. I think we're about looking at my watch. We're done with the vampire thing
Yeah.
now, right? That's
Yeah.
that's sort of over.
Yeah.
They come and go. But zombies, I mean,
It's cyclical. I mean, zombies really, until Dawn of the Dead, there was never truly, you could say Resident Evil, I guess, but there was
Right.
never really a big budget zombie movie until, and I don't mean, Dawn of the Dead wasn't a huge budget movie.
Right.
But it was a bigger budget zombie movie. I mean, zombies are pretty new in the landscape. I mean, until then, zombies were a very, very underground thing. All those Romero zombie films were very low budget.
Right.
The Fulci zombie films were very low budget. So zombies were pretty much an underground thing until, you could say Resident Evil, Dawn of the Dead, 28 Days Later. Those kind of made zombies more in the forefront. And then, of course, Kirkman's comic book. And,
Sure.
and now at the peak is The Walking Dead. And in some ways, I think that zombies are kind of, Lollipop Chainsaw is its own thing. But in some ways, zombies are sort of done, frankly.
You think so?
Yeah, because I think The Walking Dead.
The Talking
I did.
Dead?
The Talking Dead's a show
The
after
show,
The Walking
right.
Dead, which I did. So, The Walking Dead it's hard to, you really need a new twist on zombies after it's on
Sure.
TV.
Right.
I mean, it's on TV every week.
It's a drama
13
now.
episodes a
It's a
week.
drama
yeah,
now. It's
and
on
like
AMC.
they're focusing on things other than the zombies.
It's running up against
I like,
Game of Thrones.
and I'm not saying I don't like Walking Dead. I do
Yeah.
like Walking Dead.
Yeah.
But I'm saying outside of Walking Dead, to have other zombie narratives right now, you have to think of a way to do it that's pretty unique.
Sure. I think what's interesting is the variations.
Yeah.
I mean, when you look at something like 28 Days Later, where the zombies are running.
Yeah, yeah.
Like that was sort of
You're,
like.
you're going to get some hate mail from people that say that they are not zombies in 28 Days Later.
I think there's no real rule.
Yeah,
there.
yeah. Listen, everybody says, zombies are, whatever they say about them, but you go back to the original zombies, to like White Zombie,
Yeah.
and they're exactly the same. They're exactly the same as the zombies in 28 Days Later.
Right.
So you don't need a zombie. It's just a word anyway.
There's no zombie handbook.
Yeah.
you
Well,
know?
there is actually.
Oh, they're right. Max Brooks.
Max Brooks' book. Yeah.
What am I talking about?
But sometimes he's okay. Sometimes he's great. That book's amazing.
Yeah.
But doesn't mean it's real.
And now, and then, and the movie is coming out. The follow-up, right? The World War Z.
Yeah,
which
and it'll
will-
be interesting to see. That's going to be the huge budget zombie
Yeah.
movie. So we'll see how it works. Yeah.
It's definitely interesting. Speaking of storytelling, this is your first sort of leap into the video game world. Do you think that games are really the future of storytelling?
No, I 100% I don't. I think it's
Okay.
half of the future of storytelling.
Okay.
I think that human beings have a very deep need to kick back, relax, and take in and not do anything.
Mm-hmm.
That's what movies are. That's what television is. It is that experience.
Sure.
The other need is to interact and play. That's what video games are. The storytelling, in a way, is a break from the player. It's a way to enhance the play. Those are two different experiences, and we need them both, and people need them both in general. So I do think, obviously, there's more play, there's less play, there's more watching, there's less watching, but they're two different things. And you hear people all the time saying, "Yeah, I want to fuse those two. I want to create," and I'm like,
Right.
You're misunderstanding the nature of the human being.
Sure.
There is no fusing of those two. People want to watch or they want to play, and they're two different experiences.
So well, I mean, so you're saying you don't. Well, obviously, your involvement with Lollipop Chainsaw.
You can play.
There's a narrative.
Yes, you can play and be a part of a story
Right.
in which you're playing that story.
Sure.
But you don't want to. It's like the people that try to create something that is you're a part of the story. Again, the function is still play. It's
Right.
role playing.
Absolutely.
It's play.
Absolutely.
It's not kicking back and relax and watching a story.
Right.
They're two different things.
So we talked a little bit. You yourself are a big gamer.
Yeah.
What have you been playing lately? What is your favorite sort of game that you've played? What are you into?
I am into a lot of different things, but my basic games I play are RPG and stealth games. So
Okay.
I love, like, my favorite game of all time is Knights of the Old Republic.
Right on.
I love the Mass Effect games. I think they're amazing. I love the Splinter Cell games and the Hitman games and more stealth type games like that. I love Skyrim, Red Dead Redemption.
Red
I
Dead
love,
was.
I love the Grand Theft Auto games. So I play a lot of games. Yeah.
You do. How
Yeah.
do you find time to do that?
I don't really. I just listed off like a lot of games that I play. But what I do is, when I game. Like, I don't do anything else.
You
So
just
I
sort
will
of
take
hibernate. And,
I will take a couple breaks a year where
Yeah.
for a few days I will play a game. I will play it through to the end,
Huh.
and I'll never pick it up again. And I do that a few times a year. But I don't play games like every night.
Sure.
I did it with Skyrim for a long time.
Skyrim does something to you.
Yeah.
I don't know what it is.
But it's, I love Skyrim, but I also found that Skyrim wasn't as addictive to me as, say, Mass Effect, where I feel like I have to finish the game, or Red
Right.
Dead Redemption, where I felt like I had to finish the game. Skyrim, I was somehow able to, like, live my life, come home and play Skyrim for 3 or 4 hours. I was able to turn it off,
Yeah.
which is a big thing. A lot of games I can't seem, it's like, I'm like, okay, one more hour.
Sure.
Every gamer knows that
No,
feeling.
absolutely. And that's
one
how
more
I-
hour.
and I
and it's 5 o'clock, and you're like, what happened? I
Where
killed
did I
myself. I got to
go?
wake up at 9.
It's like time travel. It's
Yeah.
ridiculous. Why do you think that was with Skyrim? Because I sort of know where you're coming from.
I
With Mass
think-
Effect, I was start to finish. It was like 2-3 days, and I was done.
Yeah, I think because Skyrim was so enormous.
Yeah.
And it just wasn't. It was a great game, and I'm not saying this in a negative way, but it wasn't quite as intense as Mass Effect.
For sure.
Mass Effect is more of an intense story in which
Yeah.
you feel like you have to finish that story and be a part of that.
Absolutely.
And Skyrim's a bigger world.
Chat room will not let me let you go without bringing up your history with Trauma. They all say
Sure.
They're huge.
Well, it's
huge
one of the
fans.
reasons I'm in town. I'm going to Trauma Dance tomorrow in New Jersey.
Oh, right on.
Lloyd Kaufman is my dear old friend, and so Lloyd and I and Ty West, director of House of the Devil and the Innkeepers, are doing a panel tomorrow at Asbury Park, New Jersey.
Nice. Oh, really?
Yeah.
Down near the shore there.
I guess.
Where? Convention Hall or something like that?
No idea.
You don't know. There's
Look up Trauma Dance online. I'm going to be there tomorrow.
Yeah.
I'm doing a panel at 5 o'clock. Everybody should come down, hang out. We'll be there, me and Ty West.
Sweet. All right, and you'll be at E3 as well. So
I will be at E3, yes.
Fantastic. I think we're gonna have to let you go.
Yeah,
I mean,
let's do it.
It's been a lot of fun. I can't thank you enough for being here.
Thank you.
Best of luck with the game. From what I've seen, I got to see that boss battle. I'm pretty psyched to play it.
Well, I can't wait for you to play it.
I love, the change of pace. I'm done shooting people. It's time to start playing different games, and that's for me. That's what I'm all about.
Yeah.
I want people to enjoy.
You do have a little
things.
bit. You're able to turn that chainsaw into a gun. So for those of you who like to, once you're able to
There's
upgrade
something for
you can
everybody.
upgrade your chainsaw quite a few times. So you can do some shooting in the game as well.
Right on. The game is Lollipop Chainsaw. It's out June 12th, 2012 on Xbox 360
That's
and
it.
PlayStation 3.
That's it.
All right. Make
Thanks,
sure
guys.
you follow James on Twitter at James Gunn. Are you're
That's
into
right.
the Twitter? You're a big Twitter.
I'm into the Twitter.
Yeah.
Facebook I use a lot. I find it's a better place. People can ask me questions. I answer them on Facebook. It's hard to answer them on Twitter. And
Right on.
It's facebook.com/jgunn.
All right. That's 2 N's.
That's it.
God of the Dead.
God of the Dead.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, guys.
We're huge fans of all your work, and the best of luck with
Thanks,
everything
man.
in the
Thanks,
future.
guys.
We really appreciate it. 866-404-CNET is the number to call. We will be back next week, and if you want to email us, it's the 404@cnet.com. Big thanks again to James Gunn. We'll be back next week. Until then, I'm Jeff Bacalar. It's the 404 High Tech, Low Brow. We'll see you next time.